I'm a freshman in college. I've had more than just one paranormal encounter, but this is by far the worst. I attend an all-girls Catholic school, and it's almost 100 years old, with cemeteries on campus for the nuns that we have. That's not relevant to the story, but I just wanted to provide some details. Anyway, it was about 10 p.m. on a weekday when I started getting bubble guts. I had to use the restroom. And I mean use the restroom. I hate going number 2 in the restroom on my floor because someone is always in there. Before I tell you this next part, I just want to say that I have been doing this for a very long time and never faced any problems until that day. I used the restroom in the basement. I promise the basement doesn't look like what you think it does. It looks decent, and it connects to the first floor lobby via a small staircase, so I was never afraid. Not only that, but the restroom down there is pretty nice and clean. When the elevator brought me down to the basement, I walked in, getting ready to do my business. When I opened the bathroom door, I noticed a stall door was closed. I was surprised because in all my time doing this, no one was ever in there besides other freshman teammate of mine who did the same. Immediately thinking it was her, I peered under the stalls to see her blue Crocs, except there was nothing there, no feet. I figured someone got embarrassed that I walked in and picked up their feet or something like that. I decided to leave them alone. As I turned my back to leave, the toilet paper in that stall started getting yanked out. It was being pulled out so fast it made its container shake, making a loud noise. My heart picked up its pace, but I convinced myself that someone was in there and was just now in a rush. I left and headed towards the elevator. After I pushed a button, the toilet paper stopped. It was taking forever, and just as I was losing my patience, I heard the stall door from inside the restroom fly open. It flew open as if someone had kicked it open. At this point, I knew the stairs were the smart option. The stairwell is located right next to the elevator, so I wasted no time. I opened the basement door, and just as I stepped into the stairwell, the bathroom door opened, but again, as if someone had kicked it open with enough force to make it hit the wall. My brain was still telling me that it just was a person who was in a rush, but my body didn't let me turn around to check. Just as I had made it up the first flight of stairs, the worst thing happened. The basement door that I had just walked through swung open again, as if someone kicked it open. Following that, loud, heavy, and fast footsteps were coming up after me, and they were moving quickly. I was afraid, but didn't let it get to me. I had already passed the first floor door and only lived on the second floor, so I started running. The other footsteps seemed to be echoing so loud throughout the stairwell. I was getting my keys ready to open my floor door when I got to it. I unlocked the door while hearing the footsteps get closer and louder. I ran inside and bolted my room door, the first door on the left wing. I put my back against my room door and waited. Just a second later, the same loud footsteps ran through the hall and sounded like they stopped in the dead in the middle. I poked my head around the corner expecting to see my teammate pranking me, but there was nothing, except the stairwell door closing. I ran to the middle of that area to look down the right wing hall, and there was still nothing. I still tell myself that it was just a person who was in a rush and I just didn't see them. The sound of the toilet paper and the sound of the fast, heavy footsteps haunt me when I think about them. I'm uneasy and unsure about the whole incident. The only thing I'm sure about is that I'll never go back to that restroom again. My 11-and-a-half-year-old daughter told me a few weeks ago that she saw yellow eyes watching her in her kitchen window. She's a mature, smart girl, so she tried to debunk it, as well as consulted with her twin and older sister. They were all up late on a weekend, and so it was right after midnight. It was dark out, and the window looks at our backyard, which is small, fenced, and not easy to get into at night without alarming our dog. The first window is up high, and so it's not an animal like a dog or anything. It'd be a massive animal to be seen this way. My daughter saw it again and took the picture. It's got red colored on it, covering up junk I have up on my windowsill. She did that after taking picture, covered up, when she sent it to friends. I haven't tried to debunk or figure out just yet, but plan to. The thing that is bothering me is the next part of the story. This is where I'd like you to tell me what you feel. She said she saw it in her room at the foot of her bunk bed. She drew a picture of what she saw. The moment she showed me, my heart dropped to my gut. I did not feel good about it. Twist to this story is that a few years ago, December 2018 actually, we inherited some items from an older woman who passed suddenly. Clothes, jewelry, scarves, lots of other random items. Also, a Ouija board. I know she used it. She was into things. I'm not 100% sure, but she had tarot cards, this board, jewels, crystals, and lots of other objects I'd associate with Wicca. I have no clue how she used the board. I don't know why it ended up coming home with us, even though I told my husband no. It is still here. I've always had a strange feeling at the window, so I don't know if it is related, as it's been 15 plus years I've lived here. But as far as the board, nothing seems to be out of the ordinary until this. What the hell is that? My daughter is not the type to make this stuff up. She is not into ghost, horror, paranormal, or it's not an interest. In fact, she doesn't like it at all. She immediately looked like she was going to cry when I told her not to be afraid. I told her she's protected, and that she can call on those protectors whenever she needed. Told her to imagine white light shining down on her from above until she's covered in light. I just don't want something to grow and feed off us if this is what I feel like it is. Please let me know your thoughts. I really felt you all would be able to tell me. I'm just letting my mind get wild and being a mama bear at the same time. Or do you feel negative from it as well? It literally made me feel sick. Thank you all so much. Update. I totally found the source finally, and it's actually kind of hilarious. It's a gold, shiny, reflective type material butter holder. I saw it suddenly and asked her to come look. Sure enough, she said that was it. So glad that I figured it out. As far as the drawing thing though, she is still very adamant about seeing that. So I think I'm still going forward with some cleaning and ditching the lady stuff. In 2016, I was an administrator at a middle school in Dallas, Texas. It was not unusual for me to go up to the school to do work on a weekend. This day was a Sunday in September around 2 p.m. It is a large school building with a capacity of 1,100 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. It was built in 1997. I was changing the letters to the message on the marquee in the front of the building, so I had to make a few trips from the front of the office to the outside of the building where the marquee is. I was the only person in the building, and I have to arm and disarm the building alarm. I would send a message to the teachers that they are allowed to come up to the school when I was working, but on this day, I didn't tell anyone I was going to be working, so I expected to be alone. I was almost finished and went down the hall about 3 offices to use the restroom. While I was in there, I heard the heavy front office door open and close. It's an older building and the doors are heavy-duty metal, so they kind of bang shut. Then I heard 2 female voices talking and become faint as I assumed they were walking towards the main hall of the school, away from the main office and restroom that I was in. I thought it was odd because I had not sent the "building will be open from blank to blank" email, so no one should have been up there but me. Still, teachers work a lot on the weekends, and I thought they saw my car and felt okay coming in. As I walked back to the front, I looked down the main corridor. Even though the building is huge, a person can still see from one end to another because each end has a glass foyer. I didn't see anyone. No big deal. After about 15 minutes, I finished what I was doing and I was going to leave. This would require me to arm the alarm system, and false alarms incur a $500 false alarm fee from the city. So I thought some other teachers were in the building. I needed to leave with them. So I go onto the public address system and made the announcement. If you're working in the building, please call extension 25200 because I'm about to leave. I waited and began turning off lights and packed my things. About 3 to 4 minutes passed and no one had called up front. At this point, I looked out front to see if I could see any cars in the front parking lot. But there weren't any cars. At this point, the hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I got a bit weirded out. I made the announcement one more time in case they didn't hear me. And at this point, I could have crapped myself if the phone was to ring, because I was pretty sure the voices I heard were not teachers. Needless to say, I was really creeped out, grabbed my things, armed the alarm, and hustled out. I drove around the entire building to make sure they weren't parked in any other parking lot and to verify no classroom lights were on. All the lights were off, and all 4 parking lots were empty. The alarm would have been triggered if anyone was in the building and left after I left.